Well, I would like to just, not to rush anybody, but I would move to approve with two changes, that we change the date, the meeting dates on both documents.
Oh, Krista has.
Oh, she did it already?
Krista changed that.
Never mind.
You gotta read it. Yeah.
Really?
Surprised me, she had them all printed out with paper and she had them by the time I walked in there. She had it all.
Wow.
done, So, she had caught the, contact. I think she might have gotten some stuff from John earlier, and so she always, caught those from the state, so.
Aaron's not coming either, so.
Yeah, Aaron.
This is it.
Yeah. She thought she might log in. I guess, we'll call
He
the
is
meeting
there.
officially to order, so,
Okay.
John can make a motion.
Yes, I'll move for approval of the minutes from July 16th and August 6th, as presented.
Any question, comments?
Oh, any question, comments that we need to address? All in favor?
I'll second. If you give
Oh,
me,
second.
give me
Oh.
about 30 seconds, I'll get through the rest
Okay,
of this.
give Joe a second to, you good, Joe?
I'm good.
All right. We have a motion and a second. I better make my own. John and, who seconded that, Matt? Was that you, Matt?
Yes.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. I guess the motions are, minutes are adopted. I have heard, except a few comments on the street, nothing's official for communications. No audience members. I guess Rhonda's present if she wanted to say anything. Okay. Well, before we jump into the rest of the, just you note, I don't know if I'll scroll all the way through, but just I didn't email the docs, we really didn't make any other big changes, but I did get a chance to go through and change where it says manager to administrator, because that was kind of one of the words bounced back and forth. So that was one of the changes, just a language change we all wanted to. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think kind of where we left off, the last thing we were discussing, was numbers. Joe said we all agreed 1,500 was good. If we wanted to keep that, get down. Well, we can talk about it. It was 25% or a minimum of 1,500.
Yeah, I just mentioned that we had talked about it a
We-
while
we
back, and we
back
had kind of all said,
it-
yeah, it was okay, but if we want to talk about
Yeah,
that, that's no
it-
big deal, yeah. I think somebody put forward 1,000 last time I heard.
That was one number tossed out there. Part of the,
Matt, didn't you do some mathematics, and that was
Yeah, that
based on participation and?
kind of lined up with the number that was originally put into the home rule charter, given the population back then, that the ratio would kind of line up right around 1,000. And I really, I really like this part of the home rule charter. I think this is really like the real meat and bones to be able to, petition your government if the electors don't feel like they're being heard, or, it establishes a mechanism for a group of people to really communicate clearly, to their representatives. And Pat, if you could, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I'm just gonna walk through what I kind of see as the 3 layers of quote-unquote petitioning the government. In the Iowa code at 362.4, it talks about the petition of eligible electors, and it mentions that voters could get signatures equal to 10% of the persons who voted at the last preceding regular city election, And the people that would be signing that would be eligible electors, not the qualified. So there's two distinctions between who can sign a petition, whether they're eligible voters or qualified. And then
What's the distinction, Matt? I'm not following that.
an eligible voter would be somebody that possesses all the characteristics of someone who can vote in election, but they do not necessarily have to be registered to vote. So if they live in that jurisdiction that they want to vote in. I thought I heard a voice.
I think it was Pat.
Where a qualified elector would be somebody who possesses all those characteristics and is registered. So it looks like in the Iowa code, it gives the electors, the eligible electors, the ability to sign a petition equal to 10% of the past city election. But it doesn't really say that the council or the governing body has to do anything with it other than file it. So I think maybe the Iowa section allows for the electors to give an indicia or indication of what they feel or what they're thinking, and the government body would have to at least receive it and file it, is the way I read it. And then in the city ordinances, we have the ability to petition the council, which could end up requiring a public hearing at one of the next committee of the whole meetings. And again, this one references eligible electors and not the qualified electors. And, I don't know when we get to that part what the value is in having the difference, but in our city code at 30.63, if petitioners, eligible electors, are able to get together signatures equal to 25% of the last regular city election, then the council would have to refer that petition to the committee of the whole and schedule a public hearing. So there's kind of a little bit heightened action from that petition. But neither of those really lay out the method that those signatures are collected. I really like how the Home Rule Charter, it says that the person that is collecting those signatures has to swear under oath and file an affidavit that they're going to protect every single signature that we collect, and also that they have to verify that person is a qualified elector. And if they're not registered to vote and they qualify for everything else, that signature collector could help facilitate that person to get registered to vote. And that was one of kind of the nice side benefits of when we collected the signatures was, there was, dozens of people who were eligible to register to vote. They just hadn't. And we had extra copies of, the forms so they could register to vote, and, maybe 60 or so people, got registered to vote during that. But, so Pat, so the way I see the Iowa code is more of just a mechanism with the 10% number of signatures as just kind of an indicia or an indication of what the public is thinking or feeling, and that could get received and filed with the council. And then that second kind of layer through the city ordinances, if we get 25% of the last election, those number of signatures, that could require a public hearing at a committee of the whole. But again, it doesn't really say how those signatures are collected. And then kind of the holy grail that I kind of consider this initiative and referendum in our home rule charter, that's the mechanism that would either require the council to adopt what's being proposed through the petition, or if it's a referendum, to remove an ordinance that's already on the books. But either they would have to adopt that, take that action, or put it up to the public for a vote. So the kind of the distinction between eligible voters, qualified voters in the home rule charter. And Pat, did I summarize that fairly okay?
Yeah, I think so, and we went through this when we got the petition on the parks, and that was the system that we used, and we did require the collector to certify the signatures as valid and all of that. We had a form and everything. I think we provided a form for the certification process and all of that. And I reviewed it back then, but I'm just trying to get up to speed in my brain right now as you're talking. I'm not sure I'm fully understanding the distinction between qualified and eligible. The way you explained it seems right to me. I'm not sure why they chose the word qualified electors in 12A unless they intended to. You assume they intended to use that word in lieu of eligible for some reason, but I don't know, Matt, are you proposing that we change it to say eligible electors, or what are you thinking?
Well, and I'm not necessarily, but I think it would be good to have a discussion about the value. I think there is some value in having it, and the definition of eligible is on page 6 or underneath 3A. Means persons who possess all of the qualifications necessary.
You looking at the
to
charter or
entitle-
the ordinance?
In the charter. Necessary to be registered to vote, whether or not the person is in fact so registered,
And then
but
on the
then
next,
qualified.
on the next page, it says qualified electors, means the residents of the city who are registered to vote.
Yeah, so they would, on one hand, I kind of see value in having it as qualified because that's a more specific way to identify the signatures where, I suppose the council or the city could double check the registered voter rolls to make sure that the names actually match up if there's a question. Where I don't know how you really verify, and that's why those other two parts, the one in the Iowa code and in the ordinance, how do you verify if somebody is eligible? Well, you'd have to see if they've ever had their voting rights revoked, or do they actually live where they say they are, where if they are registered to vote, I think that all pre-qualification stuff is kind of baked into that. They could not be registered to vote if they did not have all the qualifications to be registered. So
Well, the
I
current
kind
home,
of see a value in it, but.
the current home rule charter, if I'm reading this correctly, under, what number is this? 12A says, number of signatures of qualified electors, which I understand to be registered voters.
Right. Yep.
Why would we want to change that?
I just bring it up to see if we want it to match the Iowa code or the actual city ordinance that we have in regards to public hearing petitions.
And where are they different?
And
I know
those
you
other
explained
two-
it, but I'm a little bit,
I'm comfortable with 12A remaining stating qualified electors, because we're giving people the right to actually bring it to ballot, and I think that bar should be high, but we're also considering reducing the actual number of qualified electors to make it less burdensome. So I'm very comfortable with leaving it as qualified electors, and I'm very comfortable with the number of 1,000.
yeah, I agree, John,
I'd make a motion for that.
okay. Are you taking notes, Dave, or am I?
I guess I am. What was the,
Let's take
is
it-
there
I'll make-
is there an official
Yeah,
motion?
I'll make a motion to change 12A to scratch the number 1,500 and reduce it to 1,000, keeping the verbiage the same, except for 1,500 to 1,000.
I'll second.
Okay, just my clarification before we take a vote. So the 25% remains.
Correct.
You're not changing the 25%.
Correct.
So, for example, if we ended up with, I'm not sure what the number would be, 6,000 people who turned out for a vote, which would probably be more than 1,000, or even if you had 4,000, like if you had 5,000, you'd end up with a higher number than the minimum of 1,000. Am I interpreting that correctly? The way everybody understands?
Yep.
Yeah, did you make this, Ryan?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we can look back based on Ryan's spreadsheet and,
And I think you probably, historically, it wasn't the, that one of the elections, and I think it's not on that one, unless it's the '03 one, that Prop C, was that the building code? 2000, I gave mine to Chris, so I don't have it.
yeah,
think-
the only
Prop
time,
C, like, that was a pretty spicy one, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, we had 50, so Prop C, 2003, I believe that was the building code, if I'm not mistaken. That was, we had 5,500 voters, and that was 30% of the eligible voters that were, so that was a pretty big turnout. So,
I guess somebody could try to time when they collect the petitions and do it after a light turnout election and,
Well, I think,
but yeah, there's only I think three of these past elections, the 25% would have been greater than the 1,000.
I think we were talking, I think
Yeah.
well, it would have been probably 6 years ago, maybe, when Mark and Scott were running for mayor. The turnout was right,
2019.
was right close to 4,000, wasn't it? So it would have been right in the ballpark.
3,300.
Was, okay, I thought it was a little higher than that, but okay.
Okay,
But if we're all,
so we got a motion and a
we got a
second.
motion, we got a second. Any other comments, questions? We'll take a roll call on this, just to make it official. Bill? Shevis, okay. John?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
Rich?
Yes,
And Ryan?
Yes.
And me, yes. So we'll leave that, we'll change that to 1,000. I didn't hook up the keyboard, but we'll change that to 1,000. Real quick, the process, everybody's good with that, thinking? So in a sense, that pretty much, unless there's any other quick comments on any of the other. 'Cause-
Yeah, just a clarification on one of them, it would be in that same section, 2.07, number 11, under the affidavit, the very last sentence,
11, okay.
it says, the city clerk, so this would be after that affidavit that the signature collectors would file. After that's filed, then it says the city clerk shall issue the appropriate petition forms to the petitioners within 2 days after the affidavit is accepted for filing. And maybe just a clarification on that, if,
What section are you looking, just like?
Right there, 11.
11, okay. Oh,
Yeah,
fine, okay, got it.
just that last sentence, just a clarification, if the city shall actually issue the printed out forms, or if the city should approve whatever form is being provided by the petitioners.
no, I think it should be a city-provided form.
Because, Pat, I think that was one of the questions that they had last time was whether or not the city actually provide the printed out physical forms, or if the layout just needed to be kind of blessed by the clerk or city attorney.
That's how we felt about it at the time. We said if it complies with the intent and substance of the ordinance and the charter, we were good with it. That's kind of the answer we gave.
Yeah.
Are you suggesting to change it to will? instead of
Yeah,
shall?
or maybe just some along, whoa.
Why do we,
Is that one of those,
Wow.
That wasn't supposed to happen.
Like the mirror thing.
Yeah.
is there a-
why would we introduce an
entropy?
opportunity for error? Why wouldn't he just have the city have a form and say, and if the affidavit is issued, hand them the forms?
I would agree, and if I were the city staff, I would want our forms
Right.
utilized, because, just for analysis purposes. If it's a consistent format, if it's our format, it's gonna make the job that the city staff has to do, verifying signatures and qualifications, et cetera,
Would also,
Again, I think, I don't think it places an undue burden on city staff, and I think it's it seems in my brain to be an appropriate role.
And as a person that's collecting signatures, I'd want to know I'm doing it properly.
You only want to have to do it once.
And not-
Exactly, yeah.
And not just, maybe an address and maybe not. That,
Yeah.
I just think you're opening up an opportunity for error.
Yeah,
It says-
something's
It says
missing.
shall, right?
Yeah.
Shall, so that's what it's requiring right
Yes.
now, it's requiring that.
Shall's not may, shall is shall.
Shall, you will, yeah.
And I don't know if they're, out of consideration for efficiency or cost, if maybe just one page be given from the city to the petitioners, that then they could make the, 100 copies.
I don't have
You know,
a problem.
If there's
Hell,
a
you could just
consideration
email
for
it, huh?
that, or,
Yeah,
oh, yeah, or, now we have
Yeah.
PDFs.
That's what we did in the case of Les's situation. We gave him a page and said, this is what we think you should use, and he made copies.
Yeah, I don't see a problem with that.
Okay.
But the form ought to be standardized.
Yeah.
I think there's, without looking
Which
back,
more or less is.
because, I don't,
Is will a stronger word, though?
No, shall is.
Stronger?
Yeah, shall is
Shall.
shall, yeah.
Okay.
Well, do we want to even insert the word standardized? Issue the appropriate standardized petition forms.
I think it might be redundant. If it's coming from
Yeah.
City Hall, you would, my assumption, if I get it from City Hall, it's
It's the one.
gold. Yeah.
Yeah.
you've called it the appropriate, if I'm reading, you've already called it the appropriate petition form.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
And as I recall, we edited it a little bit to make sure it complied with what I thought the charter intended, to make sure that, we had a mechanism for ensuring that these people were qualified and so on, and we made sure that was on there, and that, I was pretty satisfied at the time that the form we're using is good.
yeah,
We
there,
treated it as such. We acted as if it was a valid petition when we got it, so.
and the charter does actually give you a little bit of a uniform in size and style and assemble it as one instrument, so,
Yeah, and it identifies the actual subject, what
Yeah.
Each of the items have to be.
If we need one, I would make a motion that we accept 2.07, the balance of it, as is.
as is.
The only thing we change is in paragraph
12A.
A. Yeah, 12A.
We accept that, and then the rest of it is, your motion is to accept the rest of it, including the change.
Correct.
How's that make it, does that make it a little more understandable?
Perfect.
So I don't argue at the end?
Perfect.
Okay, any other questions, comments,
Second?
on,
Or was that second?
on that
Or-
section? Yes.
Do you need a second for that?
I believe we do. John motion.
I'll second it.
And Rich second. Okay, we'll go with, Bill.
Yes.
Yes. John.
Yes.
Joe.
Yes.
Matt.
Yes.
Ryan.
Yes.
Rich.
Yes.
And me, yes. Okay, now, Ryan, were you referring back to your
Yeah,
at the end?
And I left my book at home and I got late, I couldn't get it. And I don't have Fort Dodge's, but I liked how that was presented. It was at the, I think it's the.
I have Fort Dodge here if you want it.
I think it's their
Brian.
last section.
Yeah. That was the one on,
The salary. review
salary
board.
Yeah, I
commission.
got it pink,
Yeah, I've got it
Article
right here.
5. And I think, I don't know if, Pat, did you look, do we have that already kind of in our ordinance?
What now?
So if you go, and Fort Dodge's, Article 5, Salary Review Advisory Board.
They form a, I compared it to the county, similar to the county compensation commission, where they recommend to the council, what do I read, every odd year?
I feel that it takes a little pressure off our elected officials of, getting maybe a raise because they don't want to do it, but this gets kind of an independent body that would suggest it. That's what I like about it.
So you're recommending we add that? If you make a motion, I'll second it. I think it's good too. Does everybody have
This
it?
this is just a question. So based on our work, are you proposing then a section 2.09?
Wherever it would fit, John.
We can-
I just like the meat and the bones, as Matt says, of it.
I'm waiting on my computer to go to the code, it didn't go, but I'm pretty sure we don't have a salary review advisory board.
I don't think there is now.
I'm virtually certain we don't. We've never used it if we do, and I don't think so.
And right now,
Could be added.
It's just brought up randomly, I think. Whoever wants to, for now, the city council, anybody can bring it up anytime. There's procedures of how it goes into effect, but,
and right now, under the city council section in the Home Rule Charter 2.03, there's a paragraph 5 on compensation where it says the council shall, by ordinance, prescribe the compensation of the council members and other elected city officers. But then, yeah, like you said, it puts the council members in that untenable situation of, hey, give me more money, where if there was a separate advisory board, they could come up with that idea and,
Ryan, are you proposing that, and maybe Pat can pitch in, that in the charter of the commission, I believe they form the committee. They also prescribe the membership. Do you want to prescribe the membership? Theirs is, if I remember right, because I just read this, I studied it last night, so I was prepared.
And I didn't look at, I just, when I read that,
Yeah,
and I thought, wow, I looked through all of them like that's, and I think they're the only
They're the only
one
one, I
that
think.
has it, so.
I think they prescribe, who's got it, a member from each of the 4 wards in Fort Dodge, and then an at-large member who serves as the chair of the committee.
right, yeah.
And so, do we want to follow that pattern of doing it? If the council would happen to change numbers or change, would that be, I guess, make that a little more difficult?
Well, I don't think we could refer to wards if we're gonna, if we're proposing to do away with wards. Or do they stay in perpetuity?
They, no,
Right,
they
so-
don't. Yeah, that
Right,
doesn't
so-
say, if they're.
Not that we still couldn't come up with a participation list, a
Yeah.
recommended participation list.
So Fort Dodge, the board meets the month of December of each even-numbered year. 5 members serve 4-year terms. Council members appoint from their ward and with the city council approval. So each council member would appoint somebody, then it gets, then it would be approved by the whole council. 3 at-large council members appoint the at-large member with the city council approval. So if it would get to that we're 5 at-large, then I would say each one would appoint one. And I think that's how the county works too.
Yeah,
So our wording should, since we're proposing 5 at large, we should modify this wording a little bit to comply with that.
And their powers and duties prescribe reasonable compensation of the council members and mayor, giving due regard to the duties and responsibilities of each council member and mayor. Like I said, I think that takes the pressure off the council.
And I'm in favor, I like the idea. So keep that in mind because I'm gonna try to be as articulate as possible, but you all know that I have limitations when it comes to that. So, and I reached out to Pat after last meeting. we're making a recommendation and our document, our proposed changes is reflecting our wishes and our intentions that the council, the composition of the council be modified, correct? Yes. 5 at large, do away with the wards, okay. And yet, we understand that that action requires a ballot initiative, correct? Okay. So if things happen and the council accepts our recommendations, and we will then have a ballot initiative of the whole home rule charter petition edits or amendments or whatever the proper phraseology will be. And there will also then be a separate ballot initiative or another item on the same ballot, which is gonna be the petition brought forth by the citizens to change the complexion of the council, okay? If that petition fails, then what happens? The home rule charter changes that would be reviewed at the time of election, in my head, is gonna have the original council composition makeup. Because the change can't happen unless the ballot initiative from the citizens petition gets approved. So and then if both those actions get approved by the voters, we'll have the charter document with all our changes except the council makeup, and we will have an approved ballot initiative from the citizens to change the council makeup. And then one of the first actions that the council will do is amend by ordinance the composition of the council.
Yeah.
Yeah?
I believe,
So then, my question is, when it comes to the new section regarding the salary review, should it have language pertaining towards, because as of this second in time, that is the official composition of the council. And then, subject to the approval of the change of council composition in the fall, then that also would get changed by ordinance by the new council to do away with language referring towards, but still having council people appoint members to participate in the salary review committee. I guess that's a question I have.
And I'm not sure I'm answering it, John, but I think when we go to present this to the public here soon, and if ultimately to the council, we should present it as what we feel should happen, recognizing that if certain things don't happen, that we'll have to go back, somebody will have to go back and make those changes. The charter itself would need to be amended.
In 2 sections.
Yes,
The council composition section and then the salary review
But
committee
I
section.
think it's really important that when we present this to the public, that we present it as a clean document with what we're recommending. I think perhaps the logistical issues that you're bringing up are very valid. And we should just recognize that it's, well, you know, first of all, the council could say, no, you guys are all wet, we're not gonna do this. Then we're done.
I just answered my own question with your guidance. Guilty of over-engineering, because having it be the way we want it to be, which would have language without references to wards, is consistent with what we're doing with the council makeup, so John, just calm down and be quiet.
I still think it's a legit question. The
Okay.
one question I have, and maybe Pat, is it appropriate to, because I'm talking about this, I don't think the charter specifies the formation of any other committee. There's a clause that says that in there, the council can form any committee they want, such as this one, such as the CIP committee, such as the planning commission. Is this one of those, do we want to put something in for one committee? No matter how good I like the idea.
Dave, you
I
asked,
like the idea too. I think, my guess is that the Fort Dodge reference people have been bringing up is in their code proper and not their charter.
no, it is in the charter.
It
Pat.
is in the charter.
I've got the charter in front of me.
And it's the only
I believe
No, they talk about a charter review commission,
yeah.
but I don't know what.
But our charter does not, it only references the review commission, but it references the city can, or the council can form any committee they want. But there's no other committee referenced, I don't think, in our charter.
So that, we're making suggestions. They don't have any validity until the council approves them. And then when the council approves them, then we still have to go to the step of having the council organization approved by the voters through petition. So the charter we're recommending is just a piece of paper until all those steps happen.
Well, the changes other changes would still be valid no matter what happens with the
True,
compensation. So-
but for us to put either or in the document, I think is a mistake, and it confuses the communication.
Right. If we, as I said, if we want to put the, what are you calling it, the compensation commission?
That's a salary.
Salary review advisory.
Okay, that's it, okay. I saw somebody says, we should outline like they did, the makeup of the committee, and let the chips fall where they may, and however they fix it later.
Well, before the next meeting, I could rewrite this so that it complies with what we're proposing.
That'd be great.
I'll just volunteer to do that.
Okay,
Yeah, well,
And if I
Yeah.
don't write it down, I won't do it.
One possibility would be to write it, the compensation commission description as to how they're selected by, just, instead of referencing wards at all, just say each council member will appoint somebody, right? Then you don't have to worry about if it's from their ward or not. That's another option. Because if there are no wards, your language will be fine. If there are wards, it'll still be fine. So that's another option. Rich can write up whatever he wants, but that would be one suggestion.
No, I think you're right, Pat, and what I'll do is,
You don't have to just go with Fort Dodge's language, right? You could just say, the committee will be selected by however you want to do it. Just don't reference wards and just say each council member will have the prerogative to appoint one person.
that's what I would intend to do, and I'll run it past you, Pat, when I do it.
And
Okay.
me just thinking out loud, I would like there to be some type of way that it's not, a good old boy system where they pick their best friend to give them a raise too. And I don't know how we do that, but so it's transparent, but I don't, because I don't want it to get to the point where then it's just because the council, I guess, will have to approve it, but
The council would have to approve
it's
each.
still just, I just want the city, it looks like here, anybody wants to apply for the commission may contact the city clerk, so it's probably, maybe it's comparable to how we got on this commission. But I would, while we're doing this, I would want to make sure that we don't
Well, that
get a
brings
good
up
old
a
boy
good,
system,
brings up a good point, Ryan, and why not do it the same way we created this commission, is that the mayor makes a recommendation, we have to be interviewed like we did for this, and then it goes to the council for a vote.
Yeah, one other way to do it, if you want to do that, is just to say that the compensation commission will be selected in the same manner as, and just include as shown in the code of ordinances relative to the other boards and commissions.
because there's the mayor has an advisory committee, and that's who appointed us, right, Pat?
Right?
Right,
Yeah.
okay.
Let me work something up, and I'll get it to Pat, and then after that, if he likes it, I'll send it to Dave, and he can send it out to all of
okay,
us.
yeah. Yeah, there is a section in the charter on that appointment process, I believe, so.
can we get to 208 tonight, because we're on a roll?
208, if Rich takes that on, what's, so
Thank you, John, by the way.
you want to get-
Seriously.
Charter amendments and review.
Okay. John has something he wants to say.
Well, I just think if we hash this out, then subject to the new section regarding the salary review, then basically, we can see the light at the end of the tunnel. The only question that I had, and 208's very short, is the numbers again. In section B and section C, it refers to 10% of the persons who voted in the last regular city election, but not less than 10. Which, I don't know, maybe it's okay. But that
Point-
seems like a pretty low bar. Section 208, section 1, paragraph B and paragraph C,
Okay.
both refer to a citizen's petition to require additional actions.
There's that word qualified and eligible too.
Yeah. So as
We
I
need to be
understand,
consistent
it says
with
that the council could approve some, any, or all of anything we suggest to them, and would not have to send it to a public vote. This would tell them if somebody wanted to submit a petition, then the amendments would go to a public vote. Is that a correct? The council would not have to send our report to a public vote if they wanted to.
They wouldn't have to, no.
They wouldn't have to.
Other than the council make it.
That's outside of, our purview.
I mean,
But I agree, it's 10 people is an awful low number. The way I'm reading this is if Rhonda and her colleagues vote in some crazy ordinance next week, the citizens could say, hey, no, that's not right. And,
But what if it's a good ordinance, then only 10 people,
yeah, that's what I
well,
mean,
it takes 10%, but not less than 10.
yeah.
And the last election was 1,449, so.
So it'd be
10%,
100.
145.
Right.
Signatures.
I just think 10 is awful low also.
Yeah, why is it different than the
The
prior
other one,
It
yeah.
just doesn't make sense to me.
This is just to amend the charter though, correct?
This is only to amend the charter. This doesn't have to do with something that the council may.
But Joe's
explains why
question
it
is-
doesn't make it less curious, because there's
Yeah,
a big
why the
discrepancy.
difference,
But maybe the thought was because, I don't know. It just seems.
I think
seems
we
very
should be
strange to me.
consistent.
Yeah, that it's easier, 10 times easier to.
Change the charter.
charter than it is to adopt an ordinance.
100 times.
So, in theory, to change to 5 council folks, we only need 10
people.
people?
Well, I think that subject matter has to start with a citizen petition.
There's a specific state code on that, not,
Is that, or wait?
that particular issue, there's a specific state code that we don't
Yeah.
control, the council doesn't control.
So in
Yeah.
theory, no, it would, because this if it's gonna change the charter, if the charter is changing by ordinance, it takes 10% or 10 people. So it is a lower bar to challenge council action when it pertains to the ordinance than it does in other matters. Correct? Am I reading that correctly?
Yeah, that's why it's weird.
I just wonder if it shouldn't be 1,000.
Match the
Why
initiative
is,
and referendum.
why wouldn't it be consistent?
Isn't this like, this charter is analogous to like a constitution, right? To a certain
In
degree.
a certain degree.
Okay, and to amend the constitution takes 2/3
Work.
vote and a whole lot of work.
In
Why
the
would
state-
we want
in
to
the
make it so bloody easy?
Good question.
But it hasn't happened in 40 years either.
Yeah,
Well, that's because nobody's read this.
yeah.
Well, there's two inconsistencies, because in the petitions, in section 207 that we just passed, it's 25% or 1,000.
Right.
And here it's 10% or 10.
I think it should be 25% and 1,000. I mean, why, it just makes no sense that it be different.
And I would agree with that, because we're looking at, okay, if we want to, if the citizens want to overrule a ordinance action on backyard chickens, okay, impactful. Is it game-changing? No. But if there's something done pertaining to the charter, that's more impactful. But maybe that's the reason why the bar is lower. We want it, if, because this only pertains to council action changing the charter. Right?
They're not even using qualified electors. They're just-
Yeah, well, we
You can
should
just get
change that
anybody,
too.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I think maybe that would be the intent of having a quote-unquote lower bar, is to make it easier for the people to challenge a council action changing the charter by ordinance, rather than what we're doing, which is by ballot.
What are the other cities? I don't have, I didn't in my book, what does like Iowa City have?
I think they play something very,
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's correct. Was that you, John, that said that? I think
Yes.
It is intended to make it easier for the people to review a charter change than it would be. I think that's probably what they're thinking. That's just my thought.
so,
Yeah, but it's ridiculously low.
so since the council could have or could still at any point amend the charter without this review commission.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't think it's ever even been discussed of any changes. So that's probably why this has not been an issue, because you're right that it doesn't apply to an everyday ordinance change. I said for backyard chickens.
Right. And
Yeah, so Iowa City's ordinance, their charter amendment, their big letter A, the council by resolution may submit a proposed amendment. I think that matches right up with ours. And then B references that Iowa, the state of Iowa code, the 362.4, to follow that, which is the 10% of eligible. And letter C references the Iowa code. So Iowa cities can adjust based on the state code. If the state code changes 10% to 15 or 20, whatever percent, where it's, the number is baked into our home rule charter at that was it 10%, but no
Yeah.
less than 10?
Yeah.
So it's identical, just because the Iowa code is still the same with that 10%.
what if we change the number, leave the percentages of 10% in there because it is consistent with Iowa code, but take it from 10 and change that to 200 people? 10%,
But
not fewer
less.
than 200.
Yeah. I'm not opposed to that. I just wonder why the charter amendments should be different than the rest of the process. Like Joe said, it's harder to change the US Constitution than some legislation.
It's still gotta be approved by the council though, right? So somebody could petition to change the charter, but it still has to go through council, right?
Well, this is a situation, my interpretation, and it could be completely wrong, is that 208 is pertaining to a situation where the council on its own initiative decides to amend the charter.
That's A, right?
Well, and B, because it says, paragraph B starts out, the council by ordinance may amend the charter, however, and then C, yeah.
See if the citizens wanted to change something in the charter. Which we don't see much of that. And Pat, what the parks people collected signatures for, we talked about the 1,000 now. That was not a change to the charter. This only deals with these A, B, C section only deals with something the council, or this is one to change within the charter itself, and not anything, not other city code, such as building codes or, sidewalk codes or anything. This is only the charter, so, still, I'm not sure why they kept it so low,
Yeah.
unless they wanted people to be able to quickly challenge if they wanted to. Because with these numbers, you could turn that challenge around
Quickly.
pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna have another meeting anyway to review the salary review, section language. Do we wanna just sleep on 208?
208.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's confusing. It's causing, yeah.
Yeah, 'cause
Cedar
really, no, go ahead.
Cedar Rapids, they follow Iowa Cities, which, instead of putting that 10% in their home rule charter, they're referencing that Iowa code 362.4. So again, theirs could go
Maybe
up
that's
or
what we
down,
should do.
But the home rule charter for Clinton, it has that number in there, so. But, yeah, Cedar Rapids and Iowa Cities almost looks identical.
Yeah.
Maybe we should just adopt the Iowa City and Cedar Rapids verbiage.
Follow the state code, and then it eliminates whatever.
Well, just if I was a citizen just reading the new charter for the first time for my review, I'd wonder why it was so different. And I think that the way I'm just looking at Iowa Cities right now, but Matt's right, the Cedar Rapids one is almost identical. It doesn't list numbers. It says you must do it according to the Iowa code. Correct? Am I reading that right?
It's really it could be 10 people could change, they could petition and change the whole city administrator, mayoral
Yeah.
power thing. It would only take 10 people, which I think is,
Well, that's only if the number of people that voted were 100.
What you said was, the last would be 145 signatures.
oh, okay.
And then that wouldn't make a change in the charter, that would just put it to the voters.
Put it on the agenda, yeah, on the ballot.
Right?
Yeah, again, 208 is citizens basically wanting to challenge the actions of the council and the proposed, the council's change by ordinance action.
But only within the charter.
Right. Right.
Things outside the charter, that's a whole nother.
Yeah.
Right. And, yeah, I think, I don't know.
And if the council.
What's the Iowa code number? I mean, what's the percentage? What's the language?
10%.
Okay.
But no fewer than 10.
So this follows the Iowa
The
code. in
state
a
code
sense.
says no fewer than 10?
Yeah.
I thought it did, yeah.
But it's 10%.
That's ridiculous.
And again, the minimum number of people probably,
The reason that was done is because you got towns ranging from 60 people to, 100, 200,000 people in this state, so that's what they're doing. It really isn't necessary for us to track that in a city charter, because we're a city, we know what we are, we're 24,000 people, we can do whatever we want, so, leaving 10 is the minimum in there, that's designed to accommodate Middletown, Iowa population 300, right?
right. Well, so do we just,
That's why that's done.
then another possible solution would be just to strike, but not less than 10 persons from both paragraph B and paragraph C.
I'm reading this one more time. Is it? So if council by ordinance says we want to amend the charter, it takes 10%, not less than 10 people to say, no, you got to take that change to the voters.
I think that's what it says too.
Yeah,
Yes.
I believe you're right.
So that's just making it easy for it to go to the voters versus the council just making the change. So perhaps that's why Perhaps that's
Yes,
why it is
that's
like it
the
is.
conclusion that
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
coming to as well. Why the big
It's a quicker,
discrepancy?
easier challenge, as I look at it.
Well, if the council decides they want to change the charter, and there's some people who say, wait a second, that change is too significant, you need to take this to the voters. Maybe that should be easy to do.
And that would take
Because
10%.
you're saying, hey, look, take it to all the voters, and then
Yeah.
if they say okay.
And that challenge would require 10% of the people that voted in the last election in
Right.
order to put
I-
that process in play. And I'm okay, I think we've talked it out, and now I
Yeah.
understand maybe the wisdom behind it. But I think the not less than 10 persons is, we could probably strike that, and maybe it's less confusing, or maybe just
No.
leave it as is.
For Pat,
I would-
has this ever came up in Iowa City, Cedar Rapids, Council Bluffs, anywhere else in the state of Iowa? That you know of?
You got your mic, I didn't hear you.
Pat, have you ever heard of this coming up anywhere in the state of Iowa, Iowa City, Cedar Rapids, Council Bluffs, anywhere else?
I think you just stick with the Iowa code.
And sure it has, I just haven't been involved with it to where I would have an experience with it.
John, after having talked this out, I mean, I think you just say 10%. Or back up. You just say follow the Iowa code. Just leave it at that.
Which was what Iowa City
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Cedar Rapids do.
So moved.
Just change the wording to,
Well, which one?
Yeah.
Iowa City or Cedar Rapids?
well, just to follow the state code. We can, I'll insert something and follow the state code. And Pat, probably you don't think about that. I know it says in Goose Lake, I think if they get 50 people sometimes to vote in a city election, because I work the polls there, and if city election, they talk about, sometimes they had like 2 or 3 people come to vote the entire day. And so that's what Pat's right. You don't think about that. There's towns that just don't have much turnout.
Pat, so say we get this document, the charter all cleaned up, and the council approves the charter, then it would be the people that don't want 5 council people that would have to petition to change it, correct?
No.
Well, I think
Keep in mind-
it's gonna go to petition regardless.
My impression on the council, just, we almost need to ignore that, because that's not anything that we can have a say-so on, and the council can have a say-so on. That is outside our purview.
I'd say it differently, but I know what you're saying.
Yeah, it's not, we can say this is what we would like to see, but the council can't do anything with that. The council petition could start tomorrow, could start tomorrow, if they wanted to. It's not dependent on the charter
Yeah.
being approved or us getting our work done. That petition can start anytime, could have started anytime in the past, anytime it can start a year from now. It's not dependent on the charter work. So that's my sense, is we kind of need to ignore that, but that's not part of our discussion to worry about that.
But I think Ryan was just asking a hypothetical question.
Yeah,
And I would say hypothetically, citizens couldn't, it would be difficult for a citizen's petition to overrule what the citizens approved. Not only did they approve our work here, but they also approved the citizens' referendum to change the composition. So the bitter 10%, I don't think they could then
No.
do an end around on the basis of what already had gone to the people. But I'm not an attorney.
Let me try to ask this way, Pat, real quick, before we got to get out of here. On that, the size of the council is driven by that petition by a separate piece of the code. And as John said, that can't be over, then, 10% of people can't say, we don't want that, and force another vote on it, because that's a separate piece of, a separate code section, a separate vote, that can't come back? Is that what you can't come back under B or C by another citizen? Somebody mentioned you can't go round and round about that. Is that a correct interpretation? Did I say
I'm not
that?
sure I understand your question.
If the council competition, or the council size petition would be a separate petition, so, citizens then could, and it was approved, citizens could not come back, 10% of the citizens could not come back and challenge that vote as a charter change. Since that's a separate piece of the code.
Yeah. I think we're,
It can't be challenged through B or C.
Right, you wouldn't be using this charter provision because it's driven by the 364.7, I think it is, that I cited to you in the memo.
okay, just we're at a clear ending point here today. I think, and I'm gonna put words in John's mouth, I think he made a motion that Dave draft a new section 2.08 that says that we abide by the state code.
B and C.
And if that's what you said, I'm seconding it.
Yes.
Okay, let's finish that.
Okay.
So Dave, you got the lead on that one.
Okay.
I don't know if
We'll just
that,
take that as consensus, and we all good with that, and,
yeah, I agree.
because I know we want to get out of here. I just had a couple quick things that I wanted to make sure to mention today. We won't get too much into it with my page over here. Public input meetings, think date, time, location. What is this? I'll start at the bottom. I looked at the calendar, I'm going to try to get to the end of this. I don't know that we could be ready to present to the council at their meeting on September 23rd. I'm not sure we could shoot for that. I think October 14th is a realistic date. I want to kind of get us pushed to that.
How many public meetings do you want to
Well,
have?
that's part of the question.
before
How many, I would say one, maybe two, but I still think we could do two and be done and present to the council, on the 14th. That means we would have our meeting on the 1st of October to try to maybe wrap things up and, kind of review a presentation.
Does that allow enough time for it to go to ballot in
It
November?
doesn't have to go to the ballot, the council doesn't want to. That's up to them. We
And
won't get on the
answer, John,
November
is
ballot.
no, because you have to be on the ballot by, I heard,
On
Matt
middle of
told me
August? Yeah,
September 19th.
it's like last week.
Okay.
No, it starts Monday. I heard this at
But
lunchtime.
the candidate petitions, to get a question on the ballot, it was mid-August.
Whatever.
Yeah.
I didn't understand it that way, but you're probably
It's an
right.
odd thing,
So we're gonna meet September 3rd, right?
yes.
Is there a way that, I mean, we're pretty
That's why I'm pushing to try to get, so
I'm just saying, I'm wondering if we could target the 23rd.
we can shoot for that, now.
I don't know.
And we might-
23rd is present to council.
Yeah, but the council, as I read it,
Is
does
that
not,
committee of the whole, or is that,
that'd be my assumption, we have to go to the committee of the whole.
but only one of the meetings each month is committee of the whole.
No, they have both,
Do they?
yeah.
And do we have to have two, or is there?
Public meetings,
Yeah.
there's no requirement for any
Okay.
public.
You're
That's just
proposing two, though?
One or two, I'm open to suggestions.
I would make a motion that we have one public meeting,
And I'm open to that,
because we've had one member of the public here.
yeah, yeah. I just think,
Since we've been meeting. I mean, you're one of us, so
The ol-
are you, but I meant.
I just think we need to have one, I think we
Yeah.
need to have it at an off time, like 6 o'clock or something, so that it's not obviously give people a chance after work. That's my suggestion. And,
Should it be here so that they can,
I-
it's on the record?
I would say here, because I don't think you're gonna get the public hearing. I think if we get 10 people, I'll be amazed.
I think we'd have to do personal invitations to get
Well,
10 people.
Well, I would,
I had thought of the Erickson Center just to get it out of City Hall, but I just think we need to have it
I
at,
think you need the ability to get it out on YouTube.
that we can do that
Why don't
too.
we have our meeting on the 3rd, our regular meeting, and then have it the 17th be the public input meeting, and bearing no crazy changes, we can, when do we have to have like the packet to the city council by Friday?
By Friday.
19th?
Thursday, I think, before the
We-
meeting.
we would
Is
have
that
to
right,
have-
Rhonda?
Work on, then I'm gonna ask, how would you like to do the presentation? Would each one of you like to take a section and explain it to the council? I can do an introduction, I can introduce all of you and say, you're gonna talk about this section and that section, this section.
Before we start that, you had asked Joe and I to come up with a
Yes,
presentation.
and I wanted to get
And I
that.
have a draft that is not ready for prime time, so.
I did, yeah, just so you all know, I asked Joe and Rich to at least kind of get a starting point for, some points for a public presentation. We're talking to them to get something started, we have to have some place to start. I recruited them, to, at least get us a point to start with. You know,
So
we
should-
could even.
Should we, Joe and I can polish this and get it out to the group before our next meeting, if that's,
Well, see, our next meeting would be what, the 20th? No,
Third.
this is the
Today-
20th, the
today's the
3rd.
I like Ryan's time frame. I think we're close. Let's push the pedal to the metal. I will say right now that I will be available.
Do you want to pick a date for just have you, and again, you guys have more input than me. I decided if we have a public input session, it might be nice to have it.
9/17 here in City Hall.
Because,
Seven-
Rhonda, not to put you on the
I'm
spot,
thinking
but really what's gonna happen, I mean, we've just changed a few words.
There's-
It's really,
there's-
the spicy conversation's gonna be the council
Correct.
Yes,
Yeah.
the, com-
but if we do the
but
17th,
then, we're really not gonna have to, I mean, we're gonna defend our reasoning, there's like 3 bullet points. And at that point, I don't really know what else we need to say, right?
but to give me an idea, how would you like to see the presentation go to the council? So,
Well, let's
to
talk
the
about that
public or
next
the
meeting.
council?
we can talk about that.
Yeah, let's, just off the top of my head, I think it should come down to the chair and the vice chair and the secretary to present. And I'm happy to present also, but
And I'm, you know,
one thing that, we learned in business is that we can argue all we want in this room, but when we make a decision, and this is how we're gonna go, then we all gotta be in lockstep, when we're talking to the public. And, that doesn't mean you don't present both sides. It just means this is what we're recommending.
And I think the fewer presenters, the better. It gets to be less of a dog and pony show, and
that's why I threw it out
nothing
there.
against dogs or
I'm
ponies.
just trying to get a feel. So if we want to do you're thinking the 17th of September are you thinking at our usual 4 o'clock meeting, or are you thinking of?
No,
doing
I
it-
like your idea about doing it
Later, yeah.
off hours, so if people
Doing-
that do work are compelled to
You
come,
want
that
to
they
do
have the
5 o'clock?
opportunity.
Do you want to come back at 6? Do you want to just postpone our meeting until 6 and not meet at 4 that day?
Well, we're thinking we're not gonna have another meeting after the 3rd,
Or which day were you looking for the public meeting?
the 17th.
17th? You think we'll need another meeting to finalize things after that?
We might, but we can always schedule that.
Yeah.
So
But
we're gonna-
if we want to get to the 23rd, then we'd have to have something on the 18th, 19th. Could probably get something, they could put it on the agenda if we knew we were going to do it that week. And if we were going to get some documents to them, we can still do that on the 22nd.
As long as it's on the agenda, we can add the documents.
Yeah, we can add the documents Monday. I don't like to get it too late, because you guys deserve a chance to look at them.
So the 17th would be the public meeting?
And I would say we set it for an hour. And we start at either 5:30 or 6 o'clock, and it's 60 minutes, and that's it.
What,
Is-
5:36?
We gotta make sure that this is available.
I'll double check
Okay.
with Matt. On a Wednesday night, I don't think so, but don't know for sure.
The 17th is the date we're talking about.
For the public meeting.
And then the 23rd is the city council.
Yeah.
Is that what I'm hearing?
Yep.
And our next working meeting is the 3rd.
Correct.
And what time do you want to do, a 5:30, 6 o'clock?
Yep.
What's your best? 5:30? to get you off the course in time?
Well, it would allow people to have a late dinner or an early
Early
dinner
yeah.
versus going from 6 to 7 and then.
And you know, Bill, what, you're now the new golf coach, so now you gotta meet that day or anything?
No, I purposely didn't post or schedule.
Okay.
It seems 5:30 got the most head nods.
5:30 work?
Yes.
It gives
Yeah,
people.
They wanna be here, they'll be here.
Yeah, they'll be here, yeah. Well, this way we can get something, the city, we will get up a release written that they can get out sometime after, maybe after Labor Day or something.
Well, I want to do that.
Council's the 23rd.
So, excuse me, sir, I've forgotten your first name.
Chris.
Chris, after our next regular meeting, then can you help us pump the public meeting on the 17th, get some information in the paper about it?
Oh, certainly.
Because it would be a shame not to have some people here.
Yeah.
Send out personal invitations.
Right.
We can have Kristen put something on the Choose Clinton page on Facebook, so we can share it online too.
Yeah.
Well, and the other thing, you know, Dave has done Bill Shimmer's show, and I know Joe and I could get on Andy's, what's he call him?
This podcast?
Podcast. Anybody, we
Yeah.
can,
In fact, I just recorded Bill's show, we didn't have the date set, but maybe I can say, hey, Bill, can we redo that? I'll talk to him tonight. No, I can't, he's in Ames. So,
regardless, I mean,
Yeah.
we need to try to get some folks here.
yeah.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn. Anybody opposed? I don't have to ask that. We can just adjourn the meeting. The chairman can always adjourn the meeting whenever they want.
Unless somebody objects.
The power
The benefits.
of the,
Does anybody ever actually oppose an adjournment?